Alright guys, what's up? It's Hino here from Team Snatch, and this is my Karakuri Machina plant deck. I took this to locals today and got second. 3 Machina gear frame. It's kind of important for the deck because the OTK is gear frame and 1 for 1, and hand is pretty much all you need. So yeah, you run 3 of them. And 2 Fortress. This is due to space issues. I could run more if I really wanted to take stuff out, but I like the text I have in here. So for now, only 2 Fortress, no Force. Karakuri monsters. 3 Strategist. He's like the engine of the deck. He makes Bure very nicely with gear frame. He makes a bunch of other synchros too. His mandatory battle position changing effects lets you draw cards with Burrito as an engine, or manipulate battle positions to kill things. He's just a really good card, and until you get the new tuner in Extreme Victory, you kind of have to run 3 of these dudes. 2 Karakuri Soldier, Nismao. This is essentially Emmer's Blade. I mean, if you draw a bad hand, this guy can pretty much save you by either stalling or getting whatever you need to make synchros. He's also level 4 non-tuner, which works well. 2 Guard. Some people only run 1, but I find if you draw the 1, then you can still combo off because you have a second in your deck. And there are a lot of times I just wish I could get that second one. So it's a really good card. It's a really good defensive wall too. 1 Kuik. It's great at the end of a tag if you want to add on another synchro. Kill somebody in battle and get a +1. Also another level 4 non-tuner. And I run 1 more Karakuri, 1 Merchant. He fixes up a lot of bad hands by searching. The other thing that's nice about him is if I get enough searches off of Burritos and Bures, I can make Naturia Barkion with these 2, or Naturia Beast with these 2, which is really useful. So
broke shit.
Yeah, I can summon this and search. It's like a gear frame, but I mean, it's a really good card. The Plant Engine is 2 Lone Fire. Need to use those. Spore, Glow Up Bulb. Spore is incredibly useful. Remove a Lone Fire and sync with a level 4 for Burrito. Glow Up gets you all kinds of Naturia synchros. Sync with any level 7 machine, which is Fortress or Bure for Burrito. So they basically let the deck work. 2 Effect Valor. This has allowed the deck to be a bit more control oriented. It saved me a ton today, not just using 1. It's a really good card.
Trigger's got shit on.
Yeah. And then the last monster I run is Cobalt Hedgehog. I saw this being teched at the YCS, so I tried it out. It is really useful for getting you extra levels in synchros and primarily access to the Naturia synchros. And this deck really ends up being all about getting a ton of advantage and then locking your opponent down if they have an out to your OTK. So he helps you get the Naturias that make that happen. That's 21 monsters onto the spells. 2 MST. I mean, Necrovel is just really annoying. It doesn't stop too much in this deck, but MST is just a really good card this format, so I definitely would run 2 of these no matter what. 1 Duality. I really like the consistency that's added in hands. It's not really mandatory, but it certainly helps a bit. If you draw an all spell trap hand that's completely useless, it can help. It's also great when you're top decking. Get you that dark hole or whatever you're trying to get. Limit removal. It's a machine based deck. OTK becomes like ridiculously easy. Foolish Burial. This is for like whatever I need. Spore, Glow Up, Cobalt. I save it until I figure out what I want though. I don't just Foolish Burial anything. Avarice. You top deck it, recycle after a swarm or whatever you need. Book of Moon, considered a staple right now. 1 for 1, you need it for the OTK. You don't always have to use it, but it's good. The staples, Trunade, Reborn, and Darkhole. And then the last spell I run is Desynchro. A lot of OCG builds have been using this to various success. I find that if you draw it, it gives you access to so many more synchro options It lets you draw more cards. It's amazing. At 2, you draw it too often, but at 1, it's just right that you'll have it if you need it. And you never really need this card. The other thing is, if you like synced with Spore, all this, and you special, let's just say you had this field where you had one of the level 4 Karakuri and you had a Spore Live Engrave, and you had synced, you had removed, and synced for Burrito, then what you could special would be, normally you'd special Strategist to draw a card. So, turns and you draw this, say you draw this, so you play it, and you get these 2 back. Now you can't go for Burrito, but what you can do is sync for Bure, special 1, sync the Bure with this for Burrito, special another, and then you get another synchro on top of that. So this card works extremely well in the deck, even if Spore won't get its levels back or whatever. It doesn't really matter. I believe that's 12 spells onto the traps. 2 warning. It's pretty stable, this format. 2 trap stun. It helps me go off. The only thing that'll stop a trap stunned OTK is a Book of Moon. Mirror Force, really useful for getting pluses, protecting yourself. I don't really mind attacks in this deck, but whatever. Solemn, staple. And final card I tech is Transmigration Prophecy. Now this card seems kind of useless, but when you look closer, first of all, against other decks, Treeborn, Phalanx, anything they try and reborn kills a Pot of Avarice. It's essentially a DD Crow, but the nice thing about it is it selects 2 cards, returns them to the deck, and you can select them from either player's graveyards. So if I really wanted to get that True Nade back that I had previously used, and they had Solemn, I could Transmigration it, in addition, like, stopping an Avarice at the same time. It's a very multi-purpose card. If I summon a Gear Frame and I don't have a Fortress to search, and I want one in hand to discard and special, I can use this to get the Fortress back into my deck and then search it. Because there's so much searching from deck, and the grave gets full so fast, it works really well. I only run 1 Avarice, because I don't like opening with multiples, but this card is amazing. I definitely recommend it. So it's a 40 card main deck. The extra is pretty standard for this deck. You need 3 Bure for OTK and just draw engine ridiculousness. The Burrito I meant. 2 Bure, because you don't really have space for 3. It's a great card. The battle position changing can be really useful, but you just don't really have space for more than that. Naturia Beast, Naturia Barkion. Your goal is to get these out at the same time. It doesn't really happen very often, but you choose whichever is best for the situation, depending, and lock your opponent down after a swarm. Standard level 8 Stardust, Colossal, Scrap Dragon. It's worth mentioning that these guys rarely come out. 90% of the time you're going to go for Burrito in this deck, if you can, and just get pluses, and then if you need to, you synchro for something else. Black Rose, I actually used him fairly often today. It's pretty easy to make level 7s in the deck, since I run a bunch of level 4s and then a bunch of level 3 tuners, the strategists. So, I don't know, it's a really killer card, I mean, obviously, and it works really well in the deck. So, yeah, the Plant Engine lets you reduce stuff to 0 and go for game 2. Brionic, it's retarded good, pretty much. Bounces all sorts of crap. Whenever I'm worried about having game, I just go for that and bounce stuff and win from there. Catastor, I didn't really use this, but instead of Naturia Beast, you can go for it, and it obviously has its uses. It's a really good card. Armory Arm, you need this in the deck, because you can synchro with Lone Fire and Spore for Armory, and then remove Spore and get a Burrito out, and a Search and a Draw. And lastly, 1 Fortress Dragon. I don't main Cyber Dragons, but you pretty much have to use a Fortress Dragon in any deck that involves machines, just in case you're in that situation. Because it's kind of a dangerous situation to be in if your opponent mains Cybers. And lots of the side deck, this is a work in progress, but a lot of this is working pretty well. I haven't really tested these yet, but 2 Ally Salvo. the idea is that everyone's been bandwagoning on heroes lately. Tons of them are showing up at locals.
Too true.
Light monster that destroys us in battle, and you can select 2 cards in the field and destroy them, which is ridiculous. It's just like, if you just wipe out their back rows, and then all of a sudden, like if you just have this set, so they don't, and they have Spark set, the Spark isn't even live anymore. They lose their back rows, and then you just win from there. It's also a machine, which I don't know if that'll help very much, but yeah. Cyber Dragons, great against GBs. I usually side them in against stuff where I just don't really have much else in the side deck to put in. Like, when I was playing against Formula Monarchs, I found myself siding them in. They actually work pretty well in the deck because I run 3 strategists anyways. But yeah, it's a very good card, so. 2 Puppet Plant. This is for Samurai, Gravekeepers, and Elemental Heroes, which are pretty important decks this format, so you can use it with Lone Fire if you absolutely have to, or Spore even better. It's Earth for Synchro, for Naturia Synchros, so it has good synergy with the deck as well, so yeah. 2 Kinetic Soldier. I'm not a huge fan of Fossil Dyna. I really like its destruction effect. It's ridiculous, but everyone's running Matagama now. People realize, oh shit, this card actually, it destroys a lot. I mean, we should be running something that negates destruction. Like, why not? And now that people are running more and more of them, I find that this card is really good because it has such a ridiculous attack and defense boost that you just set this, and all of a sudden they have to have a Cyber Dragon or something to get over it, which is great. I love this card. 2 Dust Tornado. These were amazing today. Mainly, I side these for Dragoonity and Gravekeepers because I hate Royal Tribute. Not much else to say about them. 2 Malevolent Catastrophe. I didn't really side this today, though I kind of like the idea of having this card that no one would expect, that would just come out of nowhere. More and more people are expecting Catastrophe nowadays, though, so I don't know. I'm probably going to get rid of it. I don't know what I'm going to put in instead. 1 Crossout. There aren't that many plant decks at locals, so I wasn't too worried about Raikou and the like. Though it's also extremely good against Gravekeepers, so if I had more room in the side deck, I might side more, and I'm considering taking out the Malevolent, so I guess I could put them there. I don't really know yet.
Leave a comment suggesting something.
Yeah. 1 Power Filter. I'm gonna get another one of these because if it had worked, it would have been amazing. What happened was, I had this in, I swarmed, and I had this in hand, and I'm like, I can go for a game, and he can't drop Fader, he can't bring back True One. This was against Frog Monarchs, by the way. The only thing he can do is drop Gores. Well, he had Tragodia, which didn't even really help either. And he just synced for Black Rose and nuked the next turn, which was really obnoxious, but, yeah, Frogs don't really have many outs to this card. Dragoonity also have a pretty huge problem with it, because they can't special Phalanx or anything. It does hinder the deck somewhat, so you have to be careful about when you play it, but I want to get another one of these and use it, because I really like this card. It is really good. Chain Disappearance can be trap stunned. That's an important thing. A lot of people are like, why don't you just run Chain Disappearance? Well, first of all, this is better against Fader. Second, both Chain Disappearance and this will lose out to MST. Sure, Chain Disappearance is set and they might not know to MST it, but that's a huge problem. You can chain to Chain Disappearance. Like, you can chain Econ to a Tree Warden coming back that they try and Chain Disappearance. And you can also chain Trap Stun and stuff. You can't Trap Stun this. You can't even bring something back to begin with this. You're stuck to normal summoning the smaller stuff, right? Yeah. You can't special summon at all if it has 1,000 less attack, and that's why I like this card. It seems like a cheap alternative, but I don't know, I think it's better personally. And lastly, 1 extra Chimera Tech Fortress. Since I side double Cyber, might as well get that extra one to put in the extra deck, just in case it's a machine heavy matchup. I don't really know why it would be, but so yeah, leave a comment, rate, subscribe. I don't really have much else, so Until the next video. See ya.
Sweet, peace.